how America is ruining ube.
This is a very, very interesting topic because, I mean, ube is one of my favorite flavors here in the Philippines. I'm actually in the Philippines. Hello, hi, how's it going? I'm in the Philippines. But recently, the wave of Filipino online media has kind of pushed a lot of Filipino food into the US, specifically California.
So, seeing this title pop up on YouTube, I was very curious. I want to watch through this video and give our actual insights as Americans who have lived in the Philippines for years and know a lot about the Philippines and Filipino people, and how much of that Filipino influence actually spreads across the US, because the US is more, a lot of people don't like to recognize this, but the US is a lot more than just California and New York.
I'm telling you guys right now, if you told any single person that we know back in the US, and if you asked them, oh, do you like ube? They would say, what the heck is ube? I'm 95% of the people we know.
90, yeah, literally. I mean, most people from where we're from, there are very few Filipinos, very little Filipino influence. It's completely different. So when these videos a lot of times do this, like taking over America, America's doing this, Jollibee is taking over America. People have never heard of Jollibee where we're from. It's California.
They don't even have a Jollibee in our state.
Nope. The closest Jollibee to my house is 8 hours away, and one of them's in Canada and one of them's in Chicago.
That's insane.
Let's jump into this. We're going to give you our real opinions about what we think regarding this as well. Here we go.
Americans love ube. Oh, no, not that. They don't even know what that is. Americans
from the West Coast
want that trendy, purple, sugary stuff. Ube, which was named the flavor of 2024. But despite its entry into American retailers and its global rise in popularity, agricultural production of ube in the Philippines, where it's actually from, is decreasing by more than 50%. America is a culture vulture. They can steal the cultural products of a people and sell it back to them without any care of its origins. So do Americans really love ube? Or have they simply not tried real ube from Filipinos? Will the world see less ube from the Philippines? And does it really matter for us to see our culture in mainstream America if it doesn't actually celebrate us at its core? I'm Leo Albea, and this is One Down, where we redefine Filipino.
This is very interesting. It didn't have to clarify that he was Filipino-American. You could just tell right away based off the whole concept of this video.
I also think that the concept that America itself is a culture vulture is interesting. It's not, I wouldn't say it's America, I say capitalism is a culture vulture. Mm-hmm. If businesses think that they can cash in on a new thing they found from a different country, they will take it.
And it's almost better for them if they say that they made the idea. There was this, whatever, they have the shark, what's the shark show?
Shark Tank?
Yeah, Shark Tank. They have the other one where I think it's specifically, I don't know, but the one guy from Shang-Chi was on there as an investor, and there was this whole controversy around boba, where these people came on, they were French Canadians. I think it's the Canadian version of that show. And they were saying their pitch about their boba product was, oh, it's the thing you don't even know what's in it. Oh, this weird thing from Asia. They kind of made it seem like they were taking away the stuff out of it. And it's the business owners that's the problem.
Yeah, most Americans aren't interested in stealing. Most Americans, I feel like they're either don't know anything about other cultures, and that's just because they're from where we're from, the Midwest, where there isn't much influence or people from other cultures here. It's I don't know, it would be like living in the middle of the Philippines. You don't really have that much influence from Italy or Germany or anything. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. But I just kind of lost it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool, you know?
But I don't know. It's interesting. It's all the businesses just taking something, making it seem like it's theirs, and they're reinventing it and just doing it. I don't think it's an American ideal necessarily. You'll see it in every other country too eventually if they can make a buck off of it.
No mention of the Philippines.
So how is ube experienced in America? The reality is that most ube products available in the US are far removed from genuine Filipino ingredients. And that's mostly because you can't source freshly harvested ube in North America. So the next best thing we have is frozen ube sourced from ethnic groceries, which a lot of Filipino-owned businesses do often source and use. But
Yeah.
the easier alternative is to use artificial flavoring and coloring from companies like McCormick that imitate ube flavor but mislead Americans to believe that this is real ube.
Okay, it's an interesting point,
This is where it gets
but I've seen that here in the Philippines. They have that
Oh
in the
yeah, it's
grocery store.
everywhere.
I've seen that specific McCormick one too. So how many of the businesses here in the Philippines are using that too? Which is
And
the whole culture of ube. They're using it also as well.
are you telling me that the ube donuts and the ube cakes and all that stuff are real mashed up ube? The ube frostings?
I bet that would get a little bit expensive if they did. And some of
You
those
can
pastries are
tell.
pretty cheap.
You can tell when something's real ube when we're in the Philippines. You can tell because it's grittier and it's a little more chewy to when something is just like soft and doughy and you're like, this is definitely not real ube. You can tell.
Real ube is earthy.
Yeah, it is. And like when you eat in a product that has it, you can like, oh yeah, because we've said this multiple times. We've said, oh yeah, you can tell that's a real ube in there. It's interesting to take that and claim that is an American thing.
It's awkward. Those moments when we see ube marketed by Starbucks or Jack in the Box, or even chance upon an ube product
Companies.
at a Trader Joe's like ube ice cream or
Companies.
pancake mix. Now, we don't live in a perfect world, and America doesn't have direct and unlimited access to ube. Artificial or natural flavoring is a common practice in the food industry, related to availability of ingredients, shelf life, and cost. And as a business owner, it makes sense that this has to be a choice that one will ultimately make. But if you choose to use ube and market it to a demographic of both
That
Filipinos
actually
and
sounds like it'd be really good. The Jack in the Box one.
Yeah, where do they also
Oreo
have that in
ube?
Cali?
Yeah, I mean Jack in the Box literally there isn't a Jack in the Box close to us.
and market it to a demographic of both Filipinos and non-Filipinos, there should be an accountability to learn and share a part of that history. And don't give us the excuse that that's not possible, because you wouldn't have chosen ube if you didn't think it would sell. And in America, Asian Americans have the highest median household income across race and ethnicity, with Filipinos ranking top 3. But beyond that money, it's important to understand what ube means to us Filipinos. While global interest in ube is soaring, our local farmers aren't reaping the benefits of this increased demand. And just
That's
like in
a good
America,
point.
we're actually seeing that a lot of ube in the market is not actual ube, even in the Philippines. Historically, the Philippines was a major player in rice production, with other countries coming to study our techniques. Yet over time, countries like Thailand have overtaken us in rice exports. A similar scenario is unfolding with calamansi, where Vietnam is now cultivating this Filipino citrus and may soon outpace us in exports. The situation with ube is equally concerning. In some regions of the Philippines, ube production has decreased by up to 50%. This decline is happening precisely when international demand for ube-flavored products is at an all-time high.
Interesting.
Consider the Aida communities, indigenous peoples who have been cultivating ube for generations. Ube farming is not just their livelihood, it's a crucial part of their cultural practices. Yet, these communities see little to no economic benefit from the trend. Well, let's take a look at the history of America taking from communities of color. Hip-hop serves as a prime example.
Oh boy, here
Originating in
we
the
go.
Bronx, it was created and nurtured by Black and Latino communities as an expression of their
It's not America,
experiences
it's the
and
capitalism.
struggles. However,
Again, yes.
as it gained popularity, hip-hop culture was commodified for mass consumption and stripped of its original context and meaning. America has also done this to Asian ingredients.
But what about K-pop?
Mm-hmm. Did K-pop? I mean, who knows who started the original boy bands, but you can't tell me most of those K-pop groups aren't based off the 2000s boy bands. You look at
Yeah.
early EXO, that is Justin Timberlake.
A Girls' Generation? Was that not Britney Spears inspired, even though
Yeah.
she's not a girl group? I don't know.
It
Interesting.
goes around.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting to always see people pointing, this, you, and then act like the same thing doesn't happen the opposite direction.
The best point he's made so far, though, is that there's been an increase in demand for this thing, but the people who are producing it and should be receiving the rewards are not getting it, which makes sense.
And that's interesting. Like, what does that come down to? Like, who's responsible for that? Is it the Philippines government for not subsidizing this industry that should be booming for them at the moment?
Could be that. Could be that the Philippines land sucks. It could be that the shipping costs, like it's a little bit easier. There's a ton of things that could factor into that.
Farming techniques are too slow for the demand. I mean, it looked like they were picking it out by hand in the video.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, when it comes down to it, if they want to sell more ube, it probably has to be subsidized and they have to get more equipment. They're not just going to suddenly become rich and be like, okay, let's just start going, guys.
By matcha. Matcha represents centuries of Japanese tradition, originally reserved for the noble class in Japan. Matcha was a delicacy steeped in ritual and meaning. However, as it gained popularity in the West, we've seen major coffee chains and food companies profiting immensely from the trend. All the while, the deep cultural roots and traditional preparation methods were often ignored. While we want ube to make it big in America, it's already at risk, with many Americans expecting that anything purple hue they're consuming for the first time is the real representation of ube. Maybe America has only really caught on to ube in the past decade, but it's been thousands of years that this has been ours, and it will continue to fall on us to educate the world on the communities that this comes from and why it matters. We have an opportunity and a responsibility to ensure its Filipino roots remain front and center. One of the companies innovating within the Filipino flavor space is Dear Floor, a Filipino-owned brand dedicated to amplifying the rich history of Filipino ingredients, like ube, while creatively introducing them to new audiences. Personally, I use the ube while creatively introducing them.
Hemp-infused gummies, ube flavored? That's the example they chose?
Why? That's not very Filipino, because you would be arrested for that here,
This is very West Coast right here.
Very West Coast.
To new audiences. Personally, I use the ube boba gummies to help me sleep, since I recently got back from the Philippines and am adjusting to jet lag. But
can you bring those to the
gummy
Philippines?
Helped me sleep and wake up without feeling groggy the next morning. To learn more about Dear Floor, visit the website here. And a huge thanks to them for partnering with One Down to dive deeper onto the history of ube. The rising interest in ube should be a win-win situation. Our farmers who have cultivated this crop for generations deserve to benefit from its newly found popularity. Filipino communities, both in the Philippines and abroad, should see their cultural heritage celebrated authentically. Corporations capitalizing on the ube trend have a unique chance to collaborate with Filipino communities. By working together, we can help grow its production and educate consumers about ube's rich history. It's a symbol of togetherness.
This just kind of seems out of touch to me, because what is this guy? It's a corporation. It's not a person. They don't care about, they just care about making money.
And the people
That's the only thing they care about.
The consumers, although they might want to know the origin of it, they really don't care that much. And if they're going to go and order a meal with a burger, a few sides, an ube shake, are they going to have to know the origins of every ingredient that they eat? Every time they eat it?
It is interesting. I mean, I get what he's saying, and I get that it's like not cool. Like, this should be making the farmers in the Philippines make a lot more money, but also he's like, corporations should work with the farmers. Corporations don't care. Corporations want money. Consumers don't care. Consumers want good food.
Yeah, that's
all
just
it comes
how it
down
goes.
to.
But I mean, I can totally understand the point. If I'm a farmer and I see ubes taken off worldwide, and my life just doesn't change at all, I can understand that. I would be like, oh, they don't even know that I'm the one who provided this for you, or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting dilemma. It's hard to say what you're supposed to do in this situation. I mean, because you can very easily say, oh, well, they should be doing this. They should, but they won't. It's just simple as that.
Money runs everything.
It does.
Commonly served during birthdays and fiestas, as it has always embodied nostalgia for the Filipino culture. Ube is not supposed to be the end of the conversation when it comes to Filipino culture. It's the gateway to so much more of our cuisine.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
a good
enough
point.
to just be known as Filipino. It's an open invitation to everything we as a people want to share and give to the world, one flavor at a time. Thanks
That
for
is-
watching.
That is another benefit. Even if it is fake ube, people might try this fake ube and they'll be like, oh, this is good.
Mhm.
And then be like, I want to try other Filipino foods.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, just the fact that it's getting out should be good, I guess. There's obviously a lot of negatives and it can never be perfect, but I think it's good that it's spreading around. I mean, one of my favorite things here in the Philippines, flavor-wise, so I would love to share that with the world.
Yeah. And I mean, I tried to find Filipino food here in Minnesota, which is in the middle of the country and far from the influence of the Philippines. And it was really hard. And getting things like ube or even a halo halo at a restaurant that's like 40 minutes from my house, a halo halo is $10.
That's crazy.
Most people aren't going to want to spend that type of money trying a new dessert like that. So if there's a cheaper way to spread Filipino influence, it might be the better option.
And I would say big ups to Americans. A lot of Americans are, at least from what we've seen on an international stage, more willing to try a lot of new foods. Obviously, there's the stereotype of always going to McDonald's when you go to a new place, but that's also true for a lot of travelers from different countries. And surprisingly, I would say Americans are pretty willing.
Yeah, I a lot more than other countries from our experience. Like a lot of Americans will also say that their favorite food is, they'll have some of their favorite foods will be American foods, but a lot of them, their like favorite type of cuisine will be other countries. And when we go to a lot of other countries, it's just always my favorite cuisine is my country's cuisine, always.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. Those are some of our takeaways from this video. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you agree with the video? Us? Who?
Thanks to the person for making this video. It was interesting to watch.
Yeah. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.